On the day, former U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman's new book was published, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee announced an immediate investigation into the accounts in the book of Donald Trump's Attorney General William Barr interfering with investigations and prosecutions brought by Jeffrey Berman's office when he was the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Last night on this program, Jeffrey Berman said this about the Senate Judiciary Committee investigation.
We're going to find out a lot more about what went on behind the scenes with the congressional investigation that Senator Durbin announced. What we have now is communications. What I know about is communications between Main Justice and the Southern District of New York. And what I believe Congress is going to find out, internal conversations among the people at Main Justice. I'm very interested in seeing those.
How stupid are they? How much of this will the Senate Judiciary Committee find to be in writing, in emails or texts or other forms?
Yeah, I never underestimate the stupidity of some people. So I expect to see a lot of it.
Joining us now is Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island. He's a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee and the Senate Finance Committee. Senator, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I remember when it became public, that dramatic weekend when the Attorney General tried to fire Jeffrey Berman. Jeffrey Berman fought back, saying he couldn't fire him, kind of fought him to a standoff. And immediately the next week in the Judiciary Committee, you were saying that this had to be investigated, has to be investigated. Jeffrey Berman's just written a book about it for you. What are you hoping for in the investigation?
Well, as you pointed out, there'll be some material that Mr. Berman has from the D.C. to New York communications to the extent that we can get our hands on internal communications within the department that prompted that engagement with the what they like to call the sovereign district of New York. That will be very interesting. And it'll also be very interesting to see how cooperative the Department of Justice is, because we have a lot of pending requests of the department, and they have not exactly been forthcoming with information. So we hope that they'll be a little bit more responsive in this case.
One of the stories told in the book, with John Kerry's permission, as I learned last night from Jeffrey Berman here, because that, by the way, is not specified in the book, that John Kerry gave his permission for this story to be told about an investigation that they conducted of John Kerry based on Donald Trump tweets. Donald Trump was tweeting that John Kerry should be investigated because he was talking as a former Secretary of State to people around the world, including people in Iran, which, of course, all former Secretaries of State do. And Jeffrey Berman's office conducted a so-called investigation in which they just dragged their feet and tried to do absolutely nothing until William Barr got too impatient with that. That is just a stunning revelation in that book that we knew nothing about until this book came out. Is there any reason why the current leadership of the Justice Department would not want to cooperate with that investigation?
Institutional sclerosis, perhaps. I think it ought to be in the department's interest to get this information out. As you'll recall, this is not the first U.S. attorney scandal. And back in the Bush administration, when they were telling the U.S. attorneys what to do to make political prosecutions, it blew up in the face of Attorney General Gonzalez and cost him his job. So, this is a good story to get out there and to get the truth out and clarity on and put behind them and get it all done. So I hope that they'll be very forthcoming. And it's kind of a telltale among prosecutors if somebody is urging a Logan Act prosecution, because that's a statute that's been around for, I don't know, a couple hundred years, and never, ever has there been a case prosecuted on it. So when somebody comes in and says, I know, let's go after so-and-so under the Logan Act, that's kind of a Rorschach test for eye roll. So I hope that we'll get a lot of cooperation out of the department and be able to get to the bottom of this quickly.
Will the committee subpoena William Barr?
That is, first of all, the call of the chairman and not of me, so I can't say that. And the second thing is that under the rules that we're operating under right now, because we're a 50-50 Senate, we would need Republican cooperation to get the votes to get a subpoena issued by the committee. We have not been able to issue any investigative subpoenas for that reason in this entire Congress. So perhaps somebody would be willing to join us in challenging that. But if the Republicans stood in a uniform phalanx against any subpoena, we would have trouble getting one out.
Please stay with us across a commercial break that I want to squeeze in here, because I want to get your reaction to Chief Justice John Roberts being apparently shocked and just cannot understand why anyone's questioning the legitimacy of the Supreme Court. We're going to be right back with Senator Sheldon Whitehouse.